Introduction. The biggest lie you ever believed. You think you are free, but you're not. You have been trained like an obedient dog to seek approval. Pat on the head, good boy. Thumbs up, dopamine rush. You chase validation like a starving animal because somewhere along the way, you were brainwashed into believing you need it. But here's the truth. You don't. And the fact that you still crave it? That's not strength. That's not social intelligence. That's a weakness that has been exploited your entire life. Look at your past. Look at how many times you have shaped yourself to be liked. How many times you have edited your words, softened your stance, held back your true thoughts just to avoid rejection. You don't even realize how much of your existence is dictated by the need for approval. You have been a prisoner, and you didn't even see the bars. This is the biggest lie you ever believed. That external validation gives you value. It doesn't. Validation is a leash, and every time you chase it, you tighten the noose around your own neck. Approval is a drug, and you are an addict. You post something, someone likes it, dopamine hit. You say something, someone nods, dopamine hit. You play along with the crowd, they accept you, dopamine hit. You're hooked. And like every addict, you will do anything to keep the supply coming. That's why you hesitate before speaking the truth. That's why you avoid confrontation. That's why you let people walk all over you. Why you tone yourself down, why you smile when you want to scream, why you agree when you want to disagree. Because you are more afraid of losing approval than you are of losing yourself. Let that sink in. You have traded your own identity for a few scraps of validation. And what do you get in return? A cage you built with your own hands. Deep down, you know something is wrong. You feel it. That gnawing frustration, that quiet self-disgust after you water yourself down yet again, just to be accepted. That anger when you realize you've let people dictate your worth. It's because a man who lives for approval is a man who can be controlled. And that's what they want, an obedient little puppet who jumps when they say, jump. Think about it. Think about how easily people can manipulate you just by giving or withholding approval. They praise you, you feel high. They ignore you, you feel invisible. They criticize you, you crumble. Do you see how pathetic that is? How easily you can be broken just because someone didn't give you a fucking gold star? What does that say about you? What does that say about the control they have over you? You've spent your life playing by their rules, hoping to be accepted, when the only thing you should have been doing is breaking free. Let's be clear. This book will not be kind to you. It will rip apart every illusion you've built around validation. It will burn down the lies you've been telling yourself and expose the parts of you that are still weak. Because that's the only way to get free. There is no soft transition. There is no slow process. You either cut this sickness out of your system or you stay a slave. And if you think this sounds extreme, ask yourself, how much of your life have you already lost trying to please people who don't even fucking matter? Enough. This is where it ends. By the time you finish this book, you will be rewired. The part of you that craves approval like a starving dog will be dead. And the part of you that remains? That will be the part of you that is truly free. Now step forward. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Prison of External Validation. You think validation is a reward. You think approval means you're doing something right. You think acceptance makes you valuable. But you've got it all backwards. Validation is not a gift. It is not a blessing. It is a leash. And every time you chase it, every time you beg for it, shape yourself for it, compromise for it, you tighten that leash around your own neck. Look at yourself. Look at your life. From the moment you were old enough to understand words, they've been programming you. Parents, be a good boy. Follow the rules. Make us proud. School, get good grades. Sit down. Shut up. Do what you're told. Society, stay in line. Don't question. Be liked. Social media, seek likes. Chase trends. Stay relevant. And what happens when you obey? They pat you on the head like a fucking dog. Good job. Nice work. We approve of you. And like a dog, you wag your tail. You feel good. But you don't see what's happening. Because the moment you need approval, you are no longer free. Think about it. What's the easiest way to control a man? Make him crave something you can withhold. If you control his need for approval, you control his behavior. He will dance for you, change for you, silence himself for you, because he's afraid of losing your approval. That's what they've done to you. That's how they've kept you obedient, fearful, desperate. And you fell for it. You learned to censor yourself before you even speak, to hesitate before showing your true thoughts, to measure your worth by the reactions of others. Because deep down, you don't believe you exist without validation, that you do not exist without their validation. Every time you seek approval, you are not living. You're begging for permission to exist, their permission. What happens to those who live for approval? What happens to people pleasers, validation seekers, approval junkies? They get controlled, used, discarded. Controlled because if someone can give you approval, they can take it away. And the moment you fear losing it, they own you. They have your ass. Used because the world exploits those who seek validation. It extracts their energy, their time, their obedience, their loyalty, then throws them away once they're no longer useful. Deflated balloons. Discarded. Because the second you stop performing, the second you stop being a good little validation addict, they will drop you without hesitation. They've never cared about you, man. What were you thinking, really? Tell me, how many people have you bent over backward for? How many opinions have you swallowed? How many times have you shaped yourself to be liked, only to be forgotten, ignored, or replaced? And yet, here you are, still chasing, still hoping, still playing a rigged fucking game. You might not want to hear this, but you are not free. Not yet. A free man does not need approval. A free man does not seek permission. A free man does not give a fuck whether people clap for him or not. Because he knows his worth is not something others can give. And if it's not something they can give, it's not something they can take away. You don't have worth because they approve of you. You have worth because you fucking exist. You have worth because you exist. That's simple. Has always been like that. Now burn this into your mind. Say it out loud. Write it down. Scream it in your fucking head if you have to. My worth does not come from them. Approval does not define me. I am free. And from this moment forward, that is the only truth you live by. Take a long, hard look at your life. At every moment you've sacrificed your voice, your opinions, your fucking identity just to fit in, to be accepted, to be liked. Now ask yourself, who the fuck gained from that? Because it sure as hell wasn't you. The world trains people to need validation, because a man who needs approval is a man they can control. A man who does not need approval? Terrifying, unstoppable, And that is exactly who you are becoming. No more chains, no more leash, no more begging. Right now, you are standing in an open prison. The bars are made of approval, validation, and fear of rejection. But here's the truth. The door has always been open. All you have to do is walk out. And in the next chapter, we're going to rip out every last root of this addiction until approval-seeking feels as foreign to you as a language you do not speak. Because by the time we're done, you won't just be free. You'll be untouchable. Chapter 2. The Filthy Addiction to Approval. Look at yourself. Look at how you hunger for approval. Look at how you crave validation. Look at how you fall apart when you don't get it. And now, face the truth. You are an addict. You don't like to think of it that way, do you? You tell yourself, no, I just want to be appreciated. I just want to be seen. Bullshit. You don't just want validation. You need it. You are hooked on it, dependent on it, controlled by it. You are, aren't you? Every like, every compliment, every nod of approval hits your brain like a fucking drug. It floods your system with a rush of dopamine, the same chemical that fuels gamblers, alcoholics, and heroin junkies. For a moment, you feel good. For a moment, you feel worthy. But then, the high fades, and suddenly, you're chasing your next fix. Refreshing your social media. Replaying a compliment in your head. Wondering if people still like you. Adjusting your personality to make sure they do. And just like any other addict, you don't control the drug. The drug controls you. They got you hooked early. They made you associate approval with self-worth. Be a good kid, and I'll be proud of you. Get good grades, and you'll be worth something. Make people happy, and you'll be valuable. Every good job. Every gold star. Every fucking pat on the head was another dose. And you took it. You ate it up like a starving dog, because no one told you the truth. No one told you that external validation is a trap. A lever only designed to control you. Because if you need their approval, they can take it away. And if they can take it away, they own you. You are not in control. You are a pitiful puppet on strings. Think back. How many times have you compromised yourself just to get validation? How many times have you bit your tongue just to avoid losing approval? How many times have you chased admiration, attention, or praise like a dog chasing a car? And did it ever last? Did it ever give you real, lasting satisfaction? Or did it always fade, leaving you empty, desperate, needing more? Because that's the scam of external validation. It promises fulfillment, but it only ever delivers dependence. Let's make this clear. The way your brain reacts to approval is the same way a junkie reacts to heroin. A hit of validation? Rush. No validation? Withdrawal. You feel worthless, anxious, empty? So what do? You chase another hit. You post something, hoping for likes. Hoping for fucking likes, man. You drop a joke, praying for laughs. You check your phone, waiting for someone to acknowledge your existence. How pitiful and humiliating is this to you? And when they do, that rush hits again. But it never lasts. Because you are not in control of this addiction. It is in control of you, in full control of you. And just like any addiction, it will drain you, weaken you, and destroy you if you don't break free. Right now, your self-worth is being held hostage by other people's opinions. You think you're valuable only if they say so. You think you're worthy only if they approve. But here's the reality. The second you let someone else define your worth, you have already lost your worth. Read that again. Let it burn into your brain. If they can give you worth, they can take your worth away. And the moment you accept that, you become their prisoner. You did accept that. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to stop being a fucking prisoner? Are you ready to rip this addiction out of your soul and take your self-worth back? Then listen carefully. Right now, your brain craves approval, like an addict craves a fix. It wants the rush. It feels the pull. But here's what you do instead. Deny it. The next time you feel the itch to seek validation, you stop. You do not post the thing. You do not fish for approval. You do not tweak your personality just to be liked. And instead of chasing the drug, you sit with the discomfort. Because it will feel like withdrawal. It will feel unnatural, unbearable, wrong. Your brain will scream, "Get approval! Seek validation! You need it!" And you just will say, "No." You will sit in the fire of that discomfort until it burns away. Until your mind realizes the truth. That you never fucking ever needed any approval to begin with. Because true self-worth does not come from them. It comes from you. And the moment you fully accept that, you are free. Chapter 3. The Pathetic Game of Social Approval. Look at your life. Look at how you have been performing. Not living, not being. Performing. Like, seriously? Like an actor on stage, you adjust your words, your tone, your actions, your very personality, just to get a round of applause. You say what's expected. You act how they like. You bend, twist, and contort yourself just to please the crowd. And for what? For fucking nothing. For fucking nuttin'. Because here's the cold, brutal truth you've been too afraid to face. No one actually gives a fuck about you. Read that again. Let it sink in. Because once you finally accept it, you will never be the same again. Your entire life, you have been taught that your value comes from how well you play the game. Say the right things. Do what's expected. Make them happy. Don't step out of line. You were trained like a circus monkey to perform tricks for approval. And every time you succeeded, they tossed you a treat, a smile, a compliment, a nod of acceptance. And every time you failed, they withdrew it. The unspoken rule is simple. Conform or be rejected. Please us, or we will cast you out. And you bought into it. You danced. You played along. You did. Because you feared rejection more than anything else. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you bit your tongue instead of saying what you really think? Laughed at a joke you didn't find funny, just to fit in? Changed your stance on something just to avoid conflict? Hid your real opinions because you were afraid of how others would react? Every time you did this, you taught your brain a terrible lesson. Other people's approval is more important than your own authenticity. This is why you feel like a fraud in your own skin. Because you don't even know who the fuck you are anymore without the mask. And here's the worst part. You are breaking your back for people who would forget you in 5 seconds if you disappeared. Think of the last time you agonized over someone's opinion of you. Maybe they judged you. Maybe they rejected you. Maybe they said something that lingered in your mind for days, weeks, months, years, decades. Now ask yourself, where are they now? Are they thinking about you? Are they still analyzing that moment, like you are? Number. They don't even fucking remember. You've never even existed for them anymore. They simply moved on. But you're still carrying it. You're still acting like their opinion holds weight. Wake the fuck up. The people you are so desperate to please don't care about you the way you think they do. They never did. The world is filled with self-absorbed, distracted, indifferent people. They are too busy thinking about themselves to obsess over you. And yet, here you are, living your life for their approval. Let me ask you something. How many names of the people you went to school with do you actually remember? How many coworkers from past jobs do you still think about? How many strangers you've crossed paths with still live in your mind? Exactly. You don't think about them. Because they didn't matter. And guess what? Neither do you. To them. So why the fuck are you still performing for them? Here's something people won't tell you, but they know instinctively. Neediness is disgusting. Not in a moral sense. In a biological, psychological sense. It repels people. It signals weakness, desperation, a lack of self-sufficiency. And the moment they smell it on you, they lose respect. Ever wonder why people ignore you when you seek their approval? Ever notice how the more you chase, the faster they pull away? That's because humans are wired to reject the needy. It's an ancient survival mechanism. Weakness is contagious. The tribe doesn't want dead weight. So every time you beg for approval, you are telling the world, I am weak. I am desperate. I need you to tell me I am worthy. And they despise you for it. This is why people respect those who don't give a fuck. Just don't give a fucking fuck. Why leaders, lone wolves, and unshakable individuals draw others in effortlessly. Because they don't need you to validate them. And that is real power. This is your wake-up call. You don't have to play this game anymore. You don't have to perform for ghosts who don't care about you. You don't have to be afraid of rejection, because rejection doesn't mean shit. Think of every person who ever rejected you, judged you, or dismissed you. Where are they now? Are they still important? Are they still controlling your life? Number. Because they were never that important to begin with. And the ones who still matter? They only matter because you let them. So let me tell you something. Your new mission is not to be liked. Your new mission is to be free. No more performing for people who don't give a fuck. No more twisting yourself to fit their expectations. No more living in fear of rejection. From this moment on, you are not an actor. You are not a performer. You are done chasing applause. Let them hate you. Let them reject you. Let them misunderstand you. Let them do whatever. Because the moment you stop playing their game, you win. Chapter 4. The Freedom of Being Untouchable. You have spent your entire life chained to the need for approval. You have spent years begging for permission to exist. You have bent, twisted, and weakened yourself just to be accepted. But now you are about to become something dangerous. Because the moment you stop giving a fuck about approval, the moment you cut the leash, the moment you walk through life unshaken, you become untouchable. Power is not about muscles. It's not about money. It's not about being feared, admired, or respected. Real power is psychological. And the strongest person in any room, the one who doesn't give a single fuck about approval. Because what can you take from a man who needs nothing from you? What can you threaten him with? What can you guilt trip him over? Nothin'. The world loses control over you the moment you stop needing it to clap for you. Think about it. You can't guilt trip a man who doesn't need to be liked. You can't manipulate a man who doesn't fear rejection. You can't control a man who doesn't crave approval. And that's why society is built on validation addiction. Because a world full of people who don't need approval, that's a world of people who can't be controlled. When you break free, when you stop chasing approval, people won't know how to handle you. You will scare them. Because most people live for validation. They are desperate for it. They depend on it. And when they see a man who doesn't need it, a man who walks through life unshaken, unmoved, unbothered, they will feel uneasy. They will resent you because they are still trapped. They will try to pull you back because your freedom reminds them of their slavery. They will hate you for walking away because it forces them to face their own weakness. And you will stand there watching them panic, and you will feel nothing. No anger, no frustration, just indifference. Because you are above it. Because you are free. Right now, the world knows exactly how to control you. They know what to take away to make you beg. They know what to dangle in front of you to make you obey. But the second you let go of the need for approval, the second you stop caring whether people accept you or not, you cut the leash. Think of how dangerous that makes you. You don't beg. You don't adjust yourself to be liked. You don't shrink yourself to fit their comfort. They can't bait you. They can't control you. They can't make you dance for scraps of approval. And that makes you the most powerful person in any room. The world does not reward obedience. It rewards the ones who take what they want without waiting for permission. Look around. The most respected people are the ones who don't seek respect. The most attractive people are the ones who don't chase attention. The most successful people are the ones who don't beg for opportunities. And why? Because they radiate something rare. They do not need you. And that, my friend, is the ultimate power. That is what makes them untouchable. Because when you want nothing from anyone, they have nothing to hold over you. They need you to stay addicted. They need you to stay insecure. They need you to stay afraid of rejection. Because a person who craves approval is a person who is easily controlled. That's why society pushes the fear of being unliked. That's why they condition you to seek validation in everything you do. That's why they make rejection feel like a death sentence. Because as long as you fear rejection, as long as you chase their approval, as long as you need them to accept you, you stay obedient, you stay weak, you stay exactly where they want you. Read this. Let it sink in. Feel it. You don't need their approval. You don't need their acceptance. You don't need their validation. You are already whole. You are already free. From this moment on, you walk through life with nothing to prove. No more performing. No more chasing. No more seeking permission to exist. You are no longer waiting for their applause. You are no longer playing by their rules. You are no longer under their control. You are done. Done. And when they look at you, when they see you standing there, untouchable, indifferent, free, they will feel it. And they will know. You are something they will never be. Conclusion. The death of external validation. Right now, there's still a voice in your head. A faint, lingering whisper. A dying echo of the old you. It's asking, but what if people hate me? What if they reject me? What if they turn their backs on me? Good. Let them. Because if you are truly free, some people will despise you. Some people will reject you. Some people will turn their backs on you. And that is proof you are no longer their worthless fucking slave. Look around. Look at the people desperate to be liked. Look at how they adjust their opinions. Look at how they soften their words. Look at how they shape themselves into whatever the crowd wants them to be. Pathetic. Look at them trapped in their own fear, too afraid to stand alone, too desperate to risk rejection. That is not who you are anymore. Because the moment you stop chasing approval, the moment you embrace rejection instead of fearing it, the moment you let them hate you and feel nothing, that is the moment you become truly free. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Now picture the old you standing in front of you, the version of you who needed approval, the version of you who begged to be accepted, the version of you who was terrified of rejection. Look at him. Look at the weakness in his eyes. Look at the desperation in his posture. This is the man who wasted decades of his life trying to be liked. This is the man who allowed others to dictate his worth. This is the man who lived as a prisoner to their opinions. And now, he is going to die, because he does not belong in the life you are about to live. Now watch. Watch as his body bursts into flames. No screaming, no resistance, just fire. Hot, absolute, consuming. Burning away every last trace of neediness, burning away every last drop of desperation, burning away every ounce of weakness that ever lived inside you. The man who needed approval is gone, and the man who remains? Unshakable, unbothered, unbreakable. You feel it, don't you? That weight lifting off your chest? That clarity flooding into your mind, because now you know the truth. Now you see the game for what it really is. And from this moment forward, you will never be the same again. You will never seek approval again. You will never fear rejection again. You will never give a single fuck about their opinions again, because your worth does not come from them. It never did. The man who lived for approval is dead. You buried him. You burned the fucking corpse. And now, you never look back. Walk forward. Walk into the world as the man you are meant to be. And never, never let anyone put a leash on you again.